Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Sundown Surmisings. I'm here with Pastor Gregory, Deg, and my name is Pastor Jeff Deming, PJ. And we are so glad that you're here in October 30th. It's a wonderful experience. And I think you're celebrating.
I am. My mother's 95th birthday is actually on November 1.
Okay.
And so we had to film this a little early because by Friday night now, I'm actually on the road to go see her. We're going to go and spend Sabbath and then come back Saturday night because still have stuff to do at NBA. But yeah, we'll be leaving earlier in the day, go by my cousin's bakery, and go down and bring her, she likes apple pie, some homemade apple pie, and then we'll see her for her 95th birthday, yeah.
Was that a specialty that she made with the apple pie?
Well, the apple pie is one of her favorites. See, my grandmother used to make an apple pie and a rhubarb pie, and the last person I knew to really make a rhubarb pie was my Aunt Lenora, who was closest to my mom. But my oldest cousin, has a bakery in Lodi, and he makes a rhubarb and he makes an apple pie, so I'm going to bring that. And she doesn't know because it's a surprise.
Nice.
So we're going down there to do that because I know that's like one of her favorite kind of pies because he cooks a lot of stuff like Grandma used to.
Yeah. Okay, happy birthday to your mom.
Yep.
And how cool to think about all that history.
Yes.
You know, right there, that one person, so much history in our life. And speaking of history, we on Sundown Surmisings, we go back and we take a look at the history as Christians and how we were following that. And tonight, the last number of weeks, we've been looking at kind of we call it nooks and crannies of the Bible. You know, tell us where we're going tonight.
All right, so Pictures of Jesus has been our new theme, right? We finished off our Times of Crisis, Hope in the Times of Crisis. If you missed that series, go back. I think it was really powerful and certainly meant for this time. But also something I'm a firm believer in is that the longer we look at Jesus, the more the rest of everything fades away. And I know there's a famous song lyric to that.
Yes.
But it seems to be the case that the more I look at and study these nooks and crannies, not just the big pictures, the Mount Rushmore pictures, or the Mona Lisa pictures, but in the little things here, God still reveals himself in ways that are just sort of, wow.
Yeah.
And overwhelming almost. So.
And I think these small pieces are again, part of those building blocks for us among those big stories. And some of the big stories are there, but it's these little minuets. Is that the right word? You have these little moments that just kind of grab at us and remind us. And what's so cool about it is you can read the same story lots and then see something
new the next time.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Which is what's going to bring us to this one. So our story tonight is going to be from John chapter 21.
No surprise, we're going to John.
I know. I can't help myself most of the time.
If you're new to us tonight, his favorite book is John.
I love this book. This book is so amazing.
Find a student from the last 12 or 14 years.
What's Pastor Ray's favorite book? John. They know. John chapter 21 holds the famous story that most of us know. It's about, Peter being asked, do you love me? And he responds. You've heard lots of sermons on that, but I'm going to highlight a couple things that have probably been glossed over, passed over, because it requires both a little understanding of the Greek underneath and a little attention to detail, which is one of John's favorite things, which is why I love it, because you keep looking, you go back and, John, So, John chapter 21.
And Deb is using the King James Version, and I'm using the New American Standard. But in your comments, if you see something that you're reading from a different version, write that in the comments.
Sure.
What kind of stuck out to you?
Yeah, I usually provide the NIV as we're reading along.
Good. Okay.
All right, PJ, if you can start, just read verse 5, and that's going to just start us. And we're going to just hit that, and we're going to pause for a little bit right there.
Okay, here we go. So John 21, verse 5. Jesus therefore said to them, "Children, you do not have any fish, do you?" They answered him, "No." All
right, we're going to pause right there, right off the bat, right? So, mentioned a couple weeks ago how Jesus' use of the word children to his disciples would have caught their ears, because he's not older than them all. He's older than some. He's older than John, but he's definitely not older than Peter. And we don't think he was older than the rebel, Simon the Zealot, and a few others, right? So he's about right in the middle. He's 33 and a half by this point. And what's important to notice, it is a cool time of year, as we'll see. I'm going to point out something, because only a few days before it was cold in the night for
Okay.
reason. Okay, now, the next thing to notice is Jesus uses the word children. There are several varieties of the word for children, and John generally uses huios, like sons and daughters.
Okay.
But this one, he uses what's called a diminutive, which means it's my precious little ones.
Okay.
And it's interesting because he uses another diminutive, which I'm trying not to give too much away.
Right.
But this sets the scene. And if you don't know the background, Christ is resurrected, and they're feeling kind of, I don't know what to do with my life and whatever. And there's 7 of them hanging around, and Peter says, you know what? I'm going fishing. And the other 6 go, you know what? We'll go with you.
Yeah.
Well, we need clothes, we need this, let's go catch some fish and raise some money to such and such. So they're out all night, and they catch nothing. And as the light is coming, right? So it is because the sun is rising.
Mm-hmm.
And they look out, and they don't recognize Jesus, it says. They see someone on the shore, and he says, little children, did you catch anything? But he uses the word paideia, little ones. It's not just... It's not, in fact, there, like I said, there's several varieties of children, and little boys, little girls. Technion would be the more common one.
Okay.
But the paideia is like...
is it affectionate?
Yes, it's a term of affection, like you would say, my dear little children.
Yeah.
And again, this is Jesus talking, and it reestablishes for us as the reader, because we know he's not age-wise, it reestablishes his divinity, because as God, he says, you are my little children.
So he's not talking down to them.
No. It's a term of endearment.
Okay.
And that sets off. All right, now, the next thing to notice is he says, well, throw the net over here and catches, right? So let's just keep going and watch what happens.
All right.
And I'll just keep reading all the way. Where do I want you to stop next? Okay, read through to 9 and stop right there.
3 through 9.
So 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. So verse 6, and he said to them, cast a net on the right side of the boat, and you will find a catch. They cast therefore, and then they were not able to haul it because of the great number of fish. The disciple, therefore, whom Jesus loved, said to Peter, it is the Lord. And so when Simon Peter heard it was the Lord, he put his outer garment on, for he was stripped for the work, and threw himself into the sea. But the other disciples came in the little boat, for they were not far from the land, but about 100 yards away, dragging the net full of fish. And so when they got up on land, they saw charcoal and fire already laid, and fish placed on it, and bread.
All right, now, again, there's just so much to unpack. Okay, so we haven't even gotten to the part that people skip over this part. They just go to the story, Peter, you love me.
You're right, correct.
Peter, you love me if you much, lamb, sheep, right? But what I want you to catch is the Gospel of John starts with Jesus going into the water, and the Gospel of John ends with Peter going through the water. This is his official baptism, right?
Okay.
It doesn't mean he wasn't baptized before, but at this point we know Peter's now committed, because we know before he wasn't.
Sure, right.
And so this is a clear statement. Kill the fish, he goes through, he's like, fish, I don't care.
Right.
Before I'm going fishing, who's going with me? And he's now like, fish, you guys got it, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Maybe my boats, whatever, but you can have it. As soon as he found this Jesus, his first best instinct is to get to Jesus.
Wow.
Get to Jesus.
Yeah, okay.
Get to Jesus. And I'm stunned because I think, I don't know but if I've ever let somebody down or I felt like I really blown it, I try to avoid that person.
Sure.
Right? Kind of like, yeah, from a distance.
Yeah.
You might even see them and you might kind of try to cross. That sort of awkward, like, because you just feel bad about it.
Right.
And Peter felt horrible, but he was like, I got to get to Jesus, because that's where it's safe, right? Yes, he's already seen him after he's raised from
Put his garment on.
His still point is that his best instinct is to get to Jesus, right?
Wow.
Right. Now, the next thing to notice is that all the fish being caught, but he says, did you catch any fish? No, we didn't catch any fish. Now they catch a lot of fish, and they're trying to bring it up. But when they get there, there's already fish.
Right.
And we're going to get to that in verse 10. But did you catch, it says the fish were laid on what? Here's
Coals.
a little clue. And that word is only used twice in the Bible.
Really?
Only twice. There's another word that's used commonly for fire, and John uses that in other places. So it's not like John doesn't know. He uses it in Revelation. He also uses it in the Gospel of John.
Okay.
So it's not like, oh, he didn't know another word to use. No, this word is only used twice. It's used here.
Okay.
You want to guess for the other time it's being used? This is a clear hearkening. Just a few chapters back. A few chapters back in John chapter 18, it says Peter went in because it was cold.
Warm his hands.
And to warm himself over the coals, which is right before he betrays Jesus. John is making it clear. Jesus has literally said it exactly like before.
Wow.
He's called him. He says, you didn't catch anything? I have fish for you. You were naked? I clothed you. Right?
Right.
It's symbolic.
Right.
But he uses the word for a bed of coals just like before. It's a particular word. They're not even remotely related in the Greek. And so John is anybody who would be reading it through and is like, oh, the last time we heard that word was chapter 18, and we knew what happened then.
Yeah.
Oh, it's about to come down. And John sets this up, not as a point of humiliation, but trying to explain Peter's redemption.
Right.
And I believe that the big thing in this story is not that Peter did love me, and he failed him 3 times, now he has to prove, right? That's often, I've heard this sermon. Now he has to prove that he loves him 3 times in front of his people. I don't think that's actually the point. Jesus says it's the same situation, and we end at there, and that's really kind of what. But Jesus, verse 10 says, "Bring of the fish which you have caught. I provided some fish, but why don't you bring some of what you have?" And then we go on, and I'm going to just mention this one thing. When he says, "Peter, do you love me?" He says, "Yes, Lord, I love you. Feed my lambs." And I always have my kids every year, right? My people who've been through my class, juniors, know that the word lamb there is a unique word. It's arnion, and it means it's the diminutive form of lamb, and it only ever refers to Jesus in the Scriptures.
Okay.
Only ever. This is the only time outside of Revelation, John, Matthew, you name it. Arnion only refers to Jesus. He's God's little lamb. It's literally like my little boy.
Okay.
Right? And my point of mentioning it is the diminutive early and the diminutive now, he's trying to tie it in. He's trying to say, you take care of these little ones, that's me.
Yeah.
And you're my little one. Right? It's the tie-in of you take care of the little ones, that's me, but you're my little ones. You're my children. You're mine to look after. I brought you fish. You don't have to provide. Feel free to bring. He's not putting down what their work and effort, but I've got something for you. And I believe the point of the 3 times asking isn't to show, well, how many times we deny, we have to kind of think, but rather it was Jesus' way of saying, I don't care how many times you deny me, my grace will come after you. You deny me once, I'll come after you. You deny me twice, I'll come after you. You deny me 3 times, I'll come after you. It's a constant symbol that God's grace chases us, comes after us, meets us, is there ready for us.
Well, it's interesting because last week you were talking about the Father and the Son. You said the Father has tied himself to the Son. And here Jesus did the same thing. That he ties himself. I'll come after you, like you said. I'll come after you.
Oh, wow. There's a old song, in fact, called I'll Come After You. Tom Wazak? I can't remember the exact. I'll put the link on it. It's a great song. My wife and I wrote a drama to it. Mostly her. Okay. She's a far better writer. But the song is called I'll Come After You. No matter what you've done, I'll come after you. And to me, that's the message of Jesus. They went fishing. Yeah. They went out on the lake. They went away. And Jesus comes after them. Calls them. Provides for them. Sure. Uses the term of affection. It's like, you're still mine. I still got you.
Do you mind if I jump into the story for a minute?
Absolutely. That's the point.
I have a question for you. So we think about, sometimes we just read the story. It's just a story. Right. When they're coming out, do you think John obviously catches it, but do you think they're seeing the alliteration of coals, the similars? Do you think, is that having an impact?
I wonder if they caught it all at the time, because one of my favorite parts of John is right here, which is so bizarre. I cannot wait to ask him in heaven, John, what is the point of the 153 fish? Yeah. Seriously. Because he recognizes it's Jesus. He's apparently the first one. Right. Peter goes, what the heck? How'd that guy know? And John goes, It's the Lord.
Yeah, right.
Now, I would be like, all right, everybody abandon ship, everybody's on, everybody runs. But nobody got Peter, and everybody else is literally coming up, and John's like, I'll be right there, I gotta count the fish. All right, 151, 100, and I was like, did he get to like 38 and lose count? So yeah, I'm at 67,
That's
68,
so fun,
69.
yeah.
It's like 150. What is the point, John? And it's like, I don't know if John actually caught it then.
Mm.
I think it was in years reflection. He goes, wait a second. It's been cool.
Yeah.
This, and I think they put the pieces together.
Okay.
And I think, again, to me, that's also a sign of God. He doesn't expect us to get everything right.
Right.
The first time.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some stuff there, and you're going to go back and read this later, or you're going to go back and think about it later, or you're going to come walk to this area later and go, oh, that's what you're talking about.
Well, I know one of the things that you do in your educational side of what you do is that you record things.
Yeah.
So students can go back and hear it again and do it again. And so that's so cool that we can go back to these stories and we find that's amazing. That's really, I think one thing through this pictures of Jesus I'm seeing the value of my person. Of the little
God
child.
Values you. God valued the Father. I love the story you had us go through last week. The Father coming with His care and burdens. And most of us might be embarrassed about our child who would have this.
Right.
But He brings His child with Him. Can you do anything for us? And we don't have any indication that the Father has any sort of epilepsy or possession or anything like that. But to the Father, it was us.
It's us.
It's us. This is my child, and I'm bound with this. And God's like, I got you. You're my child. I'm bound with you.
Wow, that's so amazing. Well, happy birthday to your mom.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us again tonight. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please reach out to us at dgregory@montereybayacademy.org or principal@montereybayacademy.org, and we'd love to hear from you again. And where are we going to go next?
Oh, wow. I'm kind of hoping that somebody will write. I've got tons of ideas, but I'm kind of hoping that somebody will put something in, because there's always stuff to learn, there's always stuff to do.
Yeah.
So we look forward to hearing from you and see you again. Tune in again next week, Sundown Surmisings. That'll be episode 28.
28 and November.
In November.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.